Okay, so you've been tortured with bias, right? This is bias's ugly, fat, steroid-injecting sister. Unconditional positive regard. Finding a reason to like everyone. It's gonna be fun. Yes, you're going to have to participate. All right, so what does it mean? Respecting others and accepting them more or less without judgment and where they are in their life. Accepting, let's get real specific. Regard favorably or with approval. Respecting, meaning admire deeply as a result of their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Notice it doesn't say and, it's an or, so any one of those things. Having due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of, and avoid harming or interfering with. Avoid harming or interfering with is really important. We'll get into it later. Do you have to like every client you serve? You all said no, and I told you you were wrong.
I said yes,
You knew. Yes. Short story long. Here we go, like it says, I don't want you to fall asleep. What I want you to do is I want you to, you can feel free to read, but I'm going to ad-lib most of it. Heinz Kohut, old dude, known for what we call self-psychology. He's big in the mental health field, huge in the mental health field. He developed a lot of theories, including working in psychoanalytic and psychodynamic, which is more or less it helped transform modern practice for today. He developed a theory called the tripolar self, one of my favorites. Now I know what you're thinking, like you're not therapists, this tripolar self thing seems a little weird. The reason it's important is because it's foundational, and I'm going to explain why. The tripolar self is made up of 3 poles. You can think of these as the poles that hold up an individual's personality. Mirroring, which is the ability to send and receive messages accurately. Idealizing, being able to see traits in others that are admirable and incorporating them onto yourself. Twinship, the ability to see similar traits in others that match your own, aka twinsies. Talk about neuroscience just for a hot minute. I'm just giving you the foundation stuff. Theoretically, the tripolar self is hardwired into the brain, and everybody has the ability to do all 3. The poles can be damaged or broken. However, many people can basically misinterpret. General problems with communication ensue when these poles are damaged. Most of these are designed to be self-protective and informational. It's one of the ways, for those of you that heard my lecture earlier, it's one of the ways we get automatic thoughts. When you talk to a client, it's a social interaction. Part of this training is going to be about working with the social interaction. This can help you like clients and clients like you. Oh, one way. Okay, breaking it down, mirroring. So mirroring, the easiest way to describe it in the most fundamental way. You're in line at the grocery store. There's a mother in front of you with her baby. Baby's over the shoulder. Mom's patting the baby's back. The baby looks at you, kind of tilts its head and smiles. What do? Oddly enough, when I did that, some of you actually smiled. You pictured it in your head and you automatically mirrored it back. That's how fundamental this is. Same thing happens. How many of you have walked past me and I've given you one of these? And you generally, what do you do back? Yeah, you go awkwardly. Because you're not entirely sure what to do with, because I call that my Muppet smile. And I do it just to see what I get back. The other piece is matching a client's body posture, body positioning. If you've got a client like this, match it. The clients with arms crossed in front, probably closed off. Match their, go ahead. You got a question?
Yeah, I always told people, if somebody's approaching you this way, that means they're closing themselves off. What you need to do is open yourself up, so getting them to match you, not Because then it's confrontational.
So assuming the conversation itself isn't confrontational and emotionally they're feeling closed off and they put this out, the difference between, I'll use my friend here, the difference between this and this is huge. Body positioning in itself is a big key player, especially for mirror. So if we're talking and we're having a conversation, he's closed off, and I give him basically that 45 with his arms crossed and my arms are crossed this way, I'm still giving him that space. But you know what, we'll discuss that in motivational interview, which is in a couple of weeks. You can just agree with something somebody says. You remember when, what was it, 3 lectures ago, I said, how many of you like long walks on the beach, candlelight dinners? And some of you said yes, 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 yes. Same idea. Find a reason. Send information out, see what it gets back. Positive actions, positive emotions, other stimuli coming from the clients, match it and send it back to them. That will actually help them bond and engage with you. So idealizing. Finding traits that you like within a client. It can be as simple as idealizing and finding something in somebody else that you don't have and liking it. The 10-year-old thinks their dad is really, really strong and likes that they're really, really strong. So all of a sudden you see that every time the 10-year-old goes to get milk out of the fridge, they walk to the table like this. Idealizing. You all did it. Whether you know it or not, you all did it. You liked something about your mother or father. You didn't like something about your mother or father. You took the things that you liked into yourself. There's a level of learning theory here from parents to children. You can have a positive association or a negative association. Positive, you want. Negative, you resist. Make sense? So you can idealize any part of a person inside or out. You could even say, wow, I really like the way his arms look. I want them to look like, want my arms to look like his. Or, I don't know, for you girls, I really like the way her hair looks. I want my hair to look like her. I have terrible hair. There are lots of guys that I like my hair to look like. But I don't get that option. What?
It's not necessary, it's just an example.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you go back?
Yep.
Can you explain what you mean on the very last line? How do you idealize negative traits? What do you mean?
So, idealizing a negative trait could be something as negative being a social construct, not a trait that is overtly negative. So, for example, that person always has the perfect comeback. It's not a positive trait. It's not like, wow, I really like how positive that person is all the time. It's like, now anybody comes after that trucker, he's got the one-liner that shuts them up. It's not a positive trait. Being sharp-tongued and quick-witted isn't necessarily always a good thing, but you can still idealize that part of somebody. Or, what's Rousey? Ronda Rousey? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey. She, for a while there, was all it could be in female MMA. I really like how badly she pummels her opponents. It's not a great quality. We're generally told not to hurt people. I mean, unless you're him, me, or Mike. But, you know, the negative quality can still be something you want to idealize. Twinship, things you have in common. This does not have to be anything earth-shattering. How many Converse wearers do we have in here? I know I saw you. Those are Adidas. Those are Converse back there, aren't they? Or Converse lookalikes? Lookalikes? It can literally be that simple. We have the same kind of shoes. Anybody here wearing Echoes? No?
Those are too expensive for all of us.
I'm looking at wearing shoes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The key is how many pairs do you have to buy in any given year? I usually go through about a pair, because they're daily wears, about every year. But Echoes, I generally need 2 or 3. So, the question you can ask yourself is, how is this person like me? Is it wearing grunt style t-shirts? I actually own the shirt Mike has on right now. and if I happen to be wearing it, it's one of my favorites. We might look at one another and go like, yeah, twinsies. It's a good one. This is my killing shirt. It's a fantastic shirt. Hashtag grunt style, repping for the team. Initiate a conversation. Find something. Now, some of you are looking awfully sullen in here, and that provokes in me the need to pick on you. So let's do it. Can you follow me?
Okay.
Hi. How was your weekend? What'd you eat? Ooh. So what's your sign? Scorpio. Okay. What'd you do for your birthday? You got drunk?
It was my 21st birthday.
No kidding? Oh my god.
And you didn't invite Matt?
Right? You know I have wine. Let's see, 21. That was a long time ago for me, forgive me. I was at a bar called Tuesday Morning. For me, it was basically slushy versions of margaritas. What'd you get drunk on? Let's pretend. Did you have a hangover the next day?
So we're looking at
Oh, is that today? Are you hungover? Are you lying? Okay, I believe you. I mean, how many of us, when we turned 21, got drunk on our 21st birthday?
That was
So drunk I couldn't show up to school.
Right? So it happens. So, you know, Long Island iced tea. Did you like the drink? Okay, so we're gonna pretend for a minute that you didn't drink before you were 21. Are you gonna experiment with more alcohol as you move along in your post 21ness? What are you gonna try next? Wow, there are a lot of recommendations coming out of this class right now. Y'all are deviant. What are you gonna try? Something not harsh. All right, so we've got a good. We've got a conversation. Follow me. Not only do we have a good quality conversation going on, because frankly, all of you have an opinion on what she ought to try next, right? Right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting over here going, okay, stay away from rosé. You got to go straight for the red and white wines. Find something nice. You know. But she doesn't do wine. So she'd have a recommendation. All of a sudden, now we all have something to talk about, right? Trust me, you have something in common with every single other person out there. Now you just have to find it. The level of twinship you can find in someone part of that will give you the ability to bond and engage with that client. Questions about twinship? Just so you know, this is going to get much more involved.
Is that an official term?
What? Twinship?
Twinship?
Yes. Twinship is actually what they call it. I just say twinsies. All right, so. Okay, here's the disclaimer. Here's a disclaimer. The disclaimer for this, and feel free to read it through. The disclaimer for this is not supposed to feel good. Okay? So, two disclaimers actually. One, it's not supposed to feel good. You should feel awkward when you do this, because I know I did, and I don't paint myself as a pleasant human being, because obviously I like torturing people.
Talking to people?
No, you can't read this because I forgot to send you the slides, but I'll repeat this and you can repeat it in your head. The other piece of this is this comes out, this is not my original work. This comes out of what is called avatar training, which, as it's been described and presented to me, is basically finding a way to become part of a greater consciousness within groups. Large groups, small groups, basically expanding consciousness therein. Okay? So, for the purposes of the practice that we're going to do here, I want you to think of someone that you struggle with. Now, I usually offer myself up as tribute for this. However, the person that you struggle with, it should probably be fairly deep-seated. Now, if you're going to break into tears over doing this practice with this person, that's too much. I'm I'm not here to actually injure you guys, just mild psychological scar. So I want you to think of somebody you struggle with. It could be a friend, it could be an enemy, a nemesis. I have several of those. The first time I did this, I did it on a nemesis, probably a little too much at first. But it did actually help me build a little bit of understanding. So, I'm gonna get closer to the screen so I can read it perfectly. Everybody have a person in mind that they want to work on? I think I got every, okay, there we go.
Sure.
All right, so I'm gonna read it line for line. You guys can leave your eyes open, close your eyes, either way works. With your attention on that person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his or her life. With your attention on that person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his or her life. With your attention on that person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is learning about life. Anybody care to share how it feels? Go ahead.
A little disturbing
A little disturbing, fair enough.
to think of this person as just like me.
Yeah, just another human in the rat race.
This is my third time doing this exercise, and each time I've done like a different person to like kind of evoke a different emotion depending on how like much trouble I've had with that person. And each time there's like a new feeling towards it of how uncomfortable it is, because it's like you put the person to a different perspective that you don't normally see them in. You just think of how they treat you and not really, well, what's going on in their life. Something might be affecting them that causes them to treat you this way.
So you think, I'll give you a quick cheat on it. When we have someone that is designated as an enemy, when we have someone that's designated as a nemesis, generally speaking, we dehumanize that person. They are no longer a person. They are a collection of negativity that we probably more or less would prefer to be destroyed. We don't want that negativity around. But all of a sudden, this practice asks you to inject humanity back into that. Anybody else care to share? Go ahead.
It was kind of the opposite because I've known that this person has had some of, like, most of the things in their life, but even so, it's hard to compare.
Anybody feel perfectly comfortable doing this?
I think I chose the wrong person.
Think you chose the wrong person? Fair enough. Luckily, there it is. I will send the slides out to you guys. You can practice on somebody harder. How was it for you? You said it was perfectly comfortable?
You telling me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's this, I went from, when I think of this person, I have a feeling of fear. So, it went from a feeling of fear to feeling more relaxed.
Yeah, peace.
More
And
relaxed?
I didn't get into why, the particulars of that person's life. It was a nice meditation.
Right. When someone has done something to emotionally, physically, psychologically hurt you, it's very realistically easy to depersonalize them. Injecting humanity back into that can be difficult. A really great example of this is how the military trains the enlisted and officers. Military personnel, remember back from military culture? We, us, enhance them. Remember, they are not people. So when we go, they are the enemy. There really is no personalization. Military goes out, we do a job, we drop bombs, artillery, small arms fire, grenades. When you're there, there's not a lot of humanity going on. Depersonalized. Then all of a sudden they ask you to inject humanity. That can be a real tough spot. Someone once asked me, while I was in my master's degree, to work with Iraqi refugees. I had only been out of Iraq 4 years. Wasn't ready for it. Wasn't gonna do it. Didn't do it. Frankly, ripped my internship counselor a new one and more or less badgered her into an apology. I could do it now. What you got?
I got nothing. And I got anger.
You got anger? Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not, like I said, this is not supposed to be easy. This is uncomfortable. That's okay. The key in this practice is, as we're injecting humanity into somebody we don't like, we build that unconditional positive regard. Now, obviously you're working on something or someone or some group that humanity's been taken away from them so much that it's hard to inject. And then injecting that causes what we call cognitive dissonance. We know that humanity is a commonality, but could be a training thing, could be an experience thing. Like what you got?
I struggle with this specifically because we all have different experiences, and my experiences have led me to the point that I behave in a certain fashion. And when I go through this, I get to the point where I am mad and I hate the person even more because of who they are as an individual, because of the choices they've made that has led them to the point where they act the way they do towards other people.
So then the next question is, based on this specific training and in this specific practice, if that person needed a service dog and came to the organization that you work for, and all of a sudden you have to do the training. Remember, there's a difference between finding unconditional positive regard and knowing your limits. We discussed that at bias. If it's a limit, you gotta call it. If it's not a limit, you gotta find the unconditional positive regard. By the time the veterans get to you guys, they truly are doing the best they can. The fact that they have applied for a service dog, have gone through the waiting list, and are now in the award phase means that they have done the work. There might be a different practice out there. This is one of many. But the key for unconditional positive regard is finding the reason. You might not have the reason yet, and no one's saying that doing this is going to give you the reason automatically. It's about finding the reason. In my practice, this is more or less a last resort.
I think this is a good practice. I don't think it's the way you posted this to us as somebody we already know and are involved with, that we have come to whatever reason to dislike them or to have a conflict. When you're dealing with somebody that you just meet as a client, this is a fantastic practice to do. I don't think it works as well with people in your life. I mean, to a certain extent it could, but I think this is great for people you're just going to meet and help with a service dog, or help as you meet them out and talk about what do they need as we go to the events that we're going to go to. That's totally different. You don't have a history with them or painful.
Right, and if I'd given you guys a miscellaneous client to use, it would have been far too easy and not nearly scarring enough. DHV is about the learning and about the struggle. Trust me.
I believe that everybody is all connected, that we are all part of, each other in some way, shape, or form. That there is a connection there that we need to respect and honor everyone. They need to have their their say, they need to have a voice. But also, like Mike, I also agree that certain people, and you know them and they're intimate with your life, you've seen things that they are going, and like Aubrey said, for their happiness, they put you down because that makes them, that's where they're coming from when they're doing that. So you can say, yes, we have things in common, but it's not going to make me give them an excuse for the way they act or what they do.
Everyone's always responsible for their own behavior. Always. No amount of I don't feel good is a reason to treat others badly. It's just not. So, are they responsible? So, we generally call what the two of you were talking about the bulldozer. They're striving for something. And it doesn't matter who gets in their way, they're going to plow that person over. And there's not a lot to do about a bulldozer. Like I said, this wasn't supposed to be comfortable. This was supposed to push you. If you are, so, and for the record, I am guilty of this. I have people I can't do this with because it just pisses me off. However, am I letting those people take up rent in my head without getting anything for it? Oh yeah, free rent right up here. Right in the hate section. What you got?
It really depends on the level of difficulty you're having with the person too. Because I know the very first time I did this, it was with a friend that I was just starting to have problems with. That she was kind of being really mean to me, was kind of cutting me off, trying to steal all my friends from me, and was being very toxic.
Girl on girl violence is terrible.
It is. And so I did this about her, and it kind of helped me put her into perspective where we were able to sit down and talk it out because it brought her back to being a human being, not dehumanizing her anymore. Mm-hmm. So it actually fixed our friendship because it was kind of on that lower level of things.
Mm-hmm. And granted, you do this once, can it help? Sure. Could it quote unquote fix? Sure, anything's possible. But I've used the same person every time I've done this, and I'm still not okay with that person. The very first time I did it, it really injected some humanity back in. And I thought to myself, okay, fair enough. And I've done it over and over since. And I have kind of come to the fact that, all right, there's some humanity in there, and you know what? That's my capacity for that person. Done. And that's okay. So after feeling those feelings, you ask yourself why. I don't want to feel this way. That's fair. The reason you have to get to unconditional positive regard, and credit where credit is due, this is a quote from my old man. There will always be a divide or a gap between the trainer and the client. Always, 100% of the time. It's the trainer's job to bridge the gap, not the client's. Does that make sense? The gap will always be there. And it's your job to bridge it, not theirs. Questions on that?